I have returned from Japan, and I want to say a big thanks to Jeremy Feinstone, who did a fantastic job. Of course, he did, keeping things down while I was away, and very much appreciated. But I'm glad to be back with everybody, and I've got so much to talk about, both from my trip to Japan. We have Best of the Super Juniors, and we're going to be discussing how that tournament has been progressing. Everyone's still in it, it's mathematically, so plenty of options going on there. We'll talk a little bit about Dominion, a lot to catch up on. So let's just get right to it. So for Jeremy Feinstone, I'm Stephen Conway. This is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome, everyone, to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Jeremy, we have had several cards this week, and as the Super Junior Tour continues, I'm really enjoying the format this year. I like the 10-match cards because it keeps things moving. We have 10 kind of quick matches. No one has to go too long, but everyone can kind of go full speed. It's a little bit like a high-speed type of situation where only the main event's going much more than 10 minutes, but everybody's getting their stuff in. And I think everyone's been having a pretty good tournament overall. I've been enjoying it. We're 2/3 of the way through it. 6 matches in, 3 to go. How are you feeling about it thus far? Do you feel the same way, or are you is it starting to blend together a little?
Dang, dude, you're just getting straight to the hot part of the date, aren't you?
I'm just feeling it.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. No, I'm doing good. I am happy to be back into it, man. I missed this. I really did miss it.
You came in gut blazing. You wanted to know everything about what I thought. Here I am like, hey, man, I'm really happy to see you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back. And we've got Colin, we have Fernando, we have Brad. Brad's here this week. I'm glad to see everybody.
I think I've really enjoyed the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. I wouldn't change a single person who's on the show. I think Bushi not being on there has actually made the tournament better. We can argue this if we need to later on, but I think this has been the best Super Junior tournament in the last couple of years. Like, there's a parody, there's a clever booking. Like, you just kind of, you kind of feel like you know who's going to come out on top. But they're coming up. Like, I kind of do. I feel like I know the top 3 in each. And that, like, you kind of know where they're going. Now you can be surprised here or there. But, no, I'm kind of watching and like, okay, I see what you're doing. I see where it's going. Yeah, I talked it to death for the last 2 weeks. So we can rehash that out. But beyond that, man, how you been? Japan?
Well,
the whole
doing
deal?
well. Had a great time. Two beautiful weeks in Japan. The weather was terrific. Only a couple of days of rain there, but we got some. We got a couple of very cheap umbrellas from a convenience store, and it didn't bother us at all. It was really nice. Had a really good time. I'm going to get into some of the stuff that I did over there, but
you got a couple of relics behind you. Got a couple of stuff that
got some show and tell. But we really did enjoy it. We did a lot more than just wrestling, and although we did a lot of sports stuff. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. It is still a wonderful country. They have had a rough time economically, and that has meant that they are a bit overrun with people like me, tourists. And but they're still incredibly friendly. I had some of the best food I've ever eaten. I have seen some wonderful, beautiful sights. Kyoto was particularly incredible in the rain. I got to say, it actually added something to it, I would say. And it was a terrific thing. So we went to Tokyo for a couple of days, then took the Shinkansen, the bullet train. No wrestling matches broke out, though. I was disappointed, doggone it. No Shinkansen wrestling while I was there. But down to Osaka. Spent a couple of days in Osaka. I took a food tour there. This was one of those things where a guide leads you to 5 different restaurants in the Tokyo area, and you eat something like, I think we ate 13 different dishes and drank plenty of highballs and all that, and had a really good time there. That was lovely. We went to one of those onsens, the hot springs baths in Osaka. That was very relaxing. Enjoyed that tremendously. And spent a day walking in Kyoto, which is what everybody does in Kyoto, Jeremy. You walk to a place, and then you get to that place and you walk. And then you have to walk back to the place. My my rings spun around about 3 times on my phone there, but it is true. You know, when the tourist spots in Kyoto, there's the Nishiki market. That's the food market. So you take a train or a bus to get there, and then you have to walk a little ways, and then there's this long corridor of food stalls, and it's all delicious. It's really cool, but you walk, and then you go to the and then you go to the Philosopher's Path, and that's a little train trip, but then you have to walk through this little neighborhood, and you get to the path. And what do you do on paths, Jeremy?
You walk.
You walk down a path. And then when you go to these gorgeous old streets, like we're talking about the old classic architecture and the tea houses and the little cute shops and all this stuff, all these old streets. Well, what do you do in old streets? You walk up and down the streets. And so we stopped at.
Was it flat or hill?
No, Kyoto is not flat. No, we're walking upstairs and up hills, and it's exhausting. And we got to a tea shop after all this, and I sat down and I ordered my matcha, and Ginger got her snack, and they had matcha tiramisu, which was really good. And everybody that sat down, you would see them. Everybody would sit down. There was that little moment where they would get into a chair and just go. Like, you just see their faces. And I finally started talking to this British couple next to us, and we're all just like, everybody here is exhausted. Everybody is dog tired. And you can see that people barely keeping their eyes open, about to fall face
first. Just a rib?
Yeah, you're just oh my goodness, it's just exhausting. But yeah, so the food in Osaka is great. The walking in Kyoto is a plenty, and then Tokyo's Tokyo, and there's everything there. So. Yeah,
so you were there, what, 10 days?
No, almost 2 weeks. Almost 2 weeks. We did about 13 days. We left on a Sunday, came back a couple of Saturdays later, and got back, this past Saturday, and it spent a couple of days figuring out the jet lag and sleeping that off. But and while we were there, we did a lot of things. And
did you catch any wrestling shows?
Yeah, two as a matter of fact, I did. We went.
Is that what you got queued up for me right here?
I do. We went to All Japan on Well, I'll get to this photograph in a second, but I'm not much of a photographer. I will admit that, but I took a couple of pictures and went to All Japan on I believe it was the 6th, on May the 6th. It was part of the Champions Carnival tournament. And like I mentioned here, I wanted to say that I have now been to a day of the G1. Noah's N1, and the All Japan Champion Carnival. We were very fortunate. It was in Korakuen Hall. It was a good show in that the main event was Jun Saito, who is the Triple Crown champion, against Kento Miyahara, who is the biggest star in the whole company. So this was really the biggest match All Japan has as far as singles goes. The most popular guy, the most charismatic guy against the Triple Crown champ. And it was very, very good match. And it was very good to see Kento Miyahara in full effect. And you don't get that from the times that we have seen him in trios matches at All Together. I guess All Together. And then they did the charity show for the United Pro Wrestling. You don't get the gist of him in a trios because his whole thing is, first of all, his entrance, which is terrific. He has a great song. He takes a while to get there because he's the biggest star there, and there's a whole chant you do. And once he starts wrestling, he's one of the best sellers in the entire game. And that's what doesn't come across in a quick trios match where in a 12-minute match, everyone's only in for 3 or 4 minutes. In a singles match with Miyahara, you really see him sell and put over the struggle that this match is and what this guy's doing to him and things. And he's brilliant at selling. So then his comeback means so much more. His finisher even looks like a struggle because he does what's called a shutdown German. It's a straightjacket German. He pins the guy's arms to his side and then gets him into a German with a bridge. Even the way he does that, there are like 3 stages to it. Like there's a struggle to get his arms locked to his side. There's a struggle to lift him up. There's a pause right there. Then he arches his back and puts him out. So there are ways for them to ratchet up the tension at each point in this hold that he has as a finisher. Once you see him really be able to stretch out and tell the story, this guy's just among the very best. Afterwards, we're sitting in the first row of bleachers on the east side of Korakuen Hall. It's not actually the east, but that's what's labeled. Doesn't actually line up. It's weird. But we were sitting there, and behind us is this family with a little girl in a purple jacket. 2 rows behind us. For whatever reason, the people that had the tickets directly behind us didn't show up, which was nice. I didn't have a knee in my back the whole show. Miyahara sees this little girl, opens the gate because they use the blue gates in Korakuen, comes through, sits down directly behind Ginger, my girlfriend. That's her shoulder in this picture right there. And takes a selfie with this little girl. So that's Kento Miyahara. That's a photograph from my phone. He is sitting directly behind Ginger right there. And I'm just kind of grabbed that and took this picture of Kento.
The fully uncropped has Steven's head in it, like from the. Like,
well, I sent. Well, I screenshotted the same thing from All Japan TV, their streaming service, and you can see us on that because he sits down directly behind us. And then this is the one from my phone there of him, and that's my girlfriend's shoulder there in the lower right. So that was really cool to see All Japan. Not as hot as the Bushi Road companies are right now. Attendance is up for Stardom. Attendance is up for New Japan, for the most part. This is not. They aren't right now. This was not the most buzzy Champions Carnival they've had, and the finals, which were in the Oda Ward Gymnasium this past week, were down year over year from last year. So it's a company that has terrific talent. I think the Saito brothers are exciting. Yuma Anzai is really good. Names we've mentioned here before. They have Musashi, he's good. But the depth is a little rough. And Davey Boy Smith Jr. is still pretty good, but he is getting older and he doesn't move quite as smoothly as he used to. And Hideki Suzuki is pretty good. I didn't remember that Hideki Suzuki was in NXT for a while, but he was. He was with Roderick Strong's group when he was with.
Right. The Diamond Mind.
Yeah, and Zion Quinn from NXT is over there as just a Zion now, the New Zealand former.
Do you know who Zion Quinn married to? I believe in real life.
No,
Harley Cameron.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, well, all right. Well, good for him and her for that matter.
They're both trying their best in this business.
Yeah, well, and I respect anyone who gets cut and sticks with it.
Absolutely.
And here he is in the Champion Carnival doing pretty well. Mike DeVecchio's there. There's talent there, is all I'm saying, but maybe not the depth. And, so like why I think the show we got, because it was meaningful, it was made up of meaningful tournament matches. I think that was better than the finals that we had on Sunday. So I did watch the finals from here. I got AJ PWTV right there. So that was interesting. And of course there was a trip to Korakuen Hall, which is always fantastic. And anyway, Rei Saito won it. So it'll be brother versus brother June 1st in their home prefectures up north there. They'll be in, I think it's Sendai, the Sun Plaza up there. So the Saito brothers are former sumo wrestlers. They have an American father, Japanese mother, so a little bit like Aja Kong. Okay. So they have an American father, a Japanese mother, grew up in Japan, speak Japanese. That's what they know. So a little different there. But they come from sumo background and then got into pro wrestling not too long ago. But they have a good presence. And then, so that was one of the wrestling shows. The other one I went to was Stardom at Korakuen Hall on Sunday the 11th. And that's where the Starlight Kid picture comes in. That's about the only good action picture I managed to time. I'm not that great at it, but
that's a pretty good picture, though.
It's not bad, is it?
No,
excuse me. Sorry about that. The company's on fire. Coming off that Yokohama show that drew 7,500, they had a huge crowd at Korakuen. And I'm going to let you take over just a bit because I'm joking.
Well, you're talking about Stardom. The thing that I wanted that actually happened while you were gone is I was talking to my buddy JD, and I bring him up from time to time, JD and Oliva of the Mike and JD show over at Voices of Wrestling. And he was telling me about like the surge of popularity that Noah has right now with Ozawa at the forefront. And to be honest, I really only try to pay attention to New Japan just to make sure I'm locked in on it. And I'm not I'm not putting a radar out for all these other promotions unless there's like a crossover or anything like that. In addition to like Stardom, what I'm going to let you get back to, I wanted to know if you got a sense of like a burgeoning interest in Noah, if Ozawa is really like making a difference. You're more locked in on that than I am. So
Yeah, I don't know either, and I didn't notice any particular buzz about Noah in Tokyo, but they have some signage up around Korakuen Hall. They have
he
some
had a match with
billboards.
Kenta while you were out there, and so I
That's
heard
probably
that
good.
was a pretty big match for them.
Yeah, and I know they just had their 25th anniversary, and Weekly Pro Wrestling, which I have a magazine of over here, but we'll get to that. They put out a special edition in addition to their Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine issue. They put a special 25th anniversary out on that with Suwama on the cover. So in that sense, yeah, there is attention right now, part of the silver anniversary.
Yeah.
And Suwama is certainly at the forefront of it. Was there any extra buzz on that? It's kind of hard to say. They also weren't in town while I was there much.
Sure.
So
when I dug into it a little bit, and it looked like their last show that was like that first week in May drew about 4,500 people.
Well, that's terrific.
And that was the same building that New Japan ran the month before and did like 6,500 for the Finley. And so I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like any wrestling, like any of the promotions that can get like increased awareness. And if Ozawa's a guy that they can get behind over there, use Kenta, use a couple of the other guys. Yeah. Kenta Miyahara, who got a match with Ryohei Oiwa coming up. Tagging with Ryohei Oiwa coming up.
I think it's not Kenta Miyahara, but Kiyomiya.
No, Kiyomiya. Sorry,
Kiyomiya.
I got you had me on Miyahara. Go in my head.
I know. Yeah.
you got me in my head.
That's okay.
Earlier, but so there's a little bit of crossover there. Anyways, it was just one of those before we get hot and mean on New Japan for the next hour.
That's right. I just realized I bobbled the name. It's Ozawa that was on the cover of that magazine. I said Suwama. I said Suwama, but Ozawa.
Yeah, Ozawa was the whole everything, and I've just been like, do I need to pay attention to this guy kind of thing? And so I may end up having to start paying a little bit more attention to what Ozawa was bringing to the table.
I know Ozawa has gone through a couple of things with at least American Noah fans where they're like, that guy's going to be the top guy. But we were saying that about Finley a couple of years ago. And I don't think anybody's really saying that about Finley anymore. Not my Bullet Club leader, that whole kind of stuff. But once he gets in the ring, I think Ozawa's probably proving some people wrong there. So, there's that. I went to the Tokon shop, which is the New Japan store. I'm wearing my Goto Revolutionary shirt that I bought there. And Colin is mentioning that not only is Noah on Wrestle Universe, so is Marigold, so is TJPW, so is DDT, so is Gempro, Senjo, and now Marvelous.
Get me that Apple TV app. I hate to be that guy.
I stream it through my phone, and I can get it onto my Apple TV.
If I internet at my house, so I just like the connectivity. Like I can't even play my like PS5 on anything but the PS5 because I can't link it remotely anywhere. Yeah.
Wrestle Universe already the best bargain, and now they're going to have Marvelous as well. And for less than $10 US a month, you get a ton of really great stuff on there. And and we're going to get to the Stardom show in just a bit, but I glossed over something. Went to the Tokon shop, the New Japan store, and working in the store with a little name tag.
Oh, that's right.
And an apron was Master Wato. Master Wato was sitting there in this. I walk in and I'm just like, it took me a second just because you don't expect that. And then
you don't expect him to ring and register. I got
it. But he was promoting a new shirt. And this cracked me up, Jeremy. He had the IWGP Junior Tag title belt with him, and that was laying there on the counter. And he was over there helping people. If you bought a Master Wato shirt, you were allowed to take a picture of Master Wato, not with. And these are the store's rules, not his. But you couldn't do it with, like no arm around or anything like that. No, he would put the belt on his shoulder. And he would stand there, and you could take a picture of him if you purchased his shirt. And I like Watto and all. The shirt, not as much. So,
were you going to do a prom photo with him where your hands were inappropriately placed around him?
No, you're not allowed to be in the picture. You're
no,
not
that's what I'm saying. Is that what they were worried about? Like,
I
these
don't know.
WrestleMania rules?
I don't know what rules.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You know, by the way, you know how they need to come up with something that the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders figured out, because they had all kinds of trouble. But did you see the documentary? They give you a Dallas Cowboy branded football, and you have to hold the football. And since you're holding the football with both hands, you can't grab the cheerleaders. Hey. WWE needs something like that.
Jerry Jones needs something like that.
Like give him a fake belt or something like that. Like give him a fake WWE title belt.
That would cost money.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Borrow one from the concession stand where they're selling them for $200 a piece or whatever. Have them hold that instead of grabbing the girls. But I bought this thing there. This is my Go to Revolutionary shirt, and I did buy a new Stone Pitbull shirt. So they finally had some sizes that would fit me. I have to go up to double XL. I'm 6 feet tall, 220, right. which isn't strange in America, but I'm unusually big in
Japan. Like the shirts end up kind of going just not low enough on your like belly button kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
kind of need it. The sizes are weird, and we're both large men.
Both times I've been in Japan, I've gone to the Tokon shop. The first time I bought an Ishii shirt that was extra large, and I was in a sausage casing. Yeah. It just didn't work out. And then a USVA guy's asking some stuff here. He said, did you meet my friend Thomas Partridge? No, I didn't. He said he's the English gentleman's general manager of merchandise. Believe me, nobody spoke English there. Nobody spoke a lick of English at the Tokon shop. But I fumbled through a little bit of Japanese and managed, but got through it okay. But I enjoyed going to the Tokon shop. It's a cool store. It's very close to Korakuen Hall. Very easy walk from Korakuen. And so I did get to see that. And I got to see the junior tag belt up close, which was neat. And so that was one. Trying to think there. What else here? I'm going to go back to my notes. Yes. So Stardom at Korakuen on Sunday the 11th. That was headlined by Saya Kamitani and Sayaka Karara. That's an angle that kind of continued out of the Tam Nakano match. I mentioned this company's on fire. Huge crowd, and they were there very early. It was a matinee show on Sunday. So it was an 11:30 a.m. show. That I have never seen a line to get into Korakuen Hall. I've been to Korakuen Hall quite a bit now. I think this is my 6th show there or something like that. I have never seen the crowd line up around the figurative block just to get in. I've always been able to just walk up and catch the elevator to the 5th floor or take the stairs, and the crowd kind of filters in. These people were there, and they're at doors open to get in and either buy merch. There are no meet and greets. All Japan had some meet and greets going, but Stardom doesn't do them, probably for good reason. But they were all lined up there, and the crowd was hot for everything. That company is absolutely on fire, and good for it. Going there was very, very cool. But that show was terrific, and it was up and down. The card was good. The only match that was a little squidgy involved a CMLL woman, Yuvia, that hasn't been there very much, and had a match with May Sarah. And that one didn't 100% click, but everything else on the show, and I got to tell you this, Jeremy, that match with Tam Nakano did wonders for Saya Kamitani, who's already a star. She had a completely different aura when I saw her January 3rd as part of that card they had at that theater in Ariake. She has grown into that role, into that character, and when she came out with that big black flag and her outfit and her attitude, she was the star of the company. And almost everyone was on the card. I think Lady C was booked somewhere else, but almost everybody else in Stardom was there that night. Starlight was there. The Suzu Suzuki was there with her new group. It was something to see the difference in Saya Kamitani's presence here than in January. It was really stunning. And she's very impressive. And she wrestled very well and carried Carrara to a really good match. But the thing that really surprised me the most was just how much of a star she seemed. She eclipsed everybody else on the show. So good for her. She's really dialed in that character. Pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm a little dry.
You got a lot to talk about. So the dust in the Texas air sometimes is going to catch you good.
It is. I'm sorry. Apologize for that. But it leads to a good future for Stardom. Right now, the company's very hot. They have a champion that seems like the biggest deal they got, and that's just healthy for them.
All right, take a breath, take a drink.
Yeah,
get that dry parch air. I'm gonna take over for a second here. So, I was doing the show last week by myself, and honestly, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull that off or not. And then all of a sudden, an hour and 40 minutes later, show was over. And I thank anyone who was on the ride with me that week for that, because I was like, screw it, we're doing it live. We're doing this stuff. But there were things that have happened, like since you've been gone, that we have not been able to talk about. Yeah. I had strong opinions about that Resurgence show. Did you get a chance to watch that show? And is there anything that you have to add to anything that I already got on my soapbox for a good 30 minutes about that feels salient, and or you want to just pat me on the back because you agree with everything I have to say?
I think you did a great job, but the point of it for me was Rocky IV ended with Rocky knocking out Ivan Drago and winning for democracy, right?
Sure.
Rocky V began right after it while he's still in the locker room after the Drago match. And thus, Rocky V picks up where Rocky IV immediately left off. And it was a dreadful movie. To the point that when they did another Rocky movie many, many years later, they erased it from the canon of Rocky. It didn't happen. Like that movie, they just went right from Dragon, just changed it. None of that actually happened. Resurgence is the New Japan Rocky V. It was utter crap. It was a bad show in front of a bad crowd that was badly booked. And the good news is, and we've talked about this with our conflicted feelings regarding these NJPW Strong shows, a lot of this stuff feels one-off. And then you get back to Japan and none of that really counts for much of anything. They're almost self-contained. This is where it can work for us, Jeremy. We can just say none of that stuff matters. We're not going to pay any attention to any of that. Forget it. It didn't happen. And we'll just move on and forget about it. That was awful. It was dreadful.
Did you catch the Yoda Tsuji comment about the booking?
No. Don't make me love him any more than I already do, Jeremy.
This dude, I believe, goes on Tokyo Sports. I think it's Tokyo Sports. And he says, I'm not going to go to these New Japan of America shows if the IWGP title isn't main eventing. It's not worth my time. Like, sorry, not doing it. Like, if they're not, if it's not the main event, it's not a show that I consider to be main event.
And they felt like they had to do that because they had a trash finish, and they knew that. And that's the thing, they knew they had a trash finish.
Main event. Like,
no, I know, but no, it wasn't main event because you can't end a show on a crap finish.
Both
like that.
Matches were crap finishes.
Well, yes, but the world title.
They thought they had fucking gold with that like Mercedes thing, and it was just like Scott called it. Like he had that match dead to rights on the preview show beforehand. He's like, I think it's like we workshopped and we're like, Kazumi, right? And he's like, I think this is how they get the belt off of her. And I was like, yeah, but I hate it. You know what I mean? Like, who did you make? Who came out of this as like Mercedes Moné made somebody out of like this title run in New Japan Strong? She didn't. They basically put a belt on her and then took it off of her when it was done. But there was nothing other than adjacent ticket sales anytime she was on the show when you could have done so much more. Yeah, it was. There was a lot on that show that just shouldn't have happened the way it happened. It was just Gabe Kidd. Oh, we're gonna get to Gabe Kidd later, but
and it wasn't a New Japan crowd. It just didn't seem like people there.
They were there for the Young Bucks,
which is incredible because we finally found some people that are. The last couple weeks, they go on TV, they have a match, and 100,000 viewers drop off from the beginning of their match to the end of it. 100,000, Jeremy. There are only 600,000 watching it. And somehow that happened a couple weeks ago. They had some 2-segment match. It was a trios match. The Bucks were in it. 112,000 people turned off during that match right there. And we finally found some people. I guess you have to go to their neighborhood. Maybe it's the people that babysit their kids or whatever the hell. I don't know. We finally found some people that are interested in seeing Huey and Dewey. And they all went to a New Japan show and didn't know anything about it.
I'm now angry that I'm getting gaslit that none of this mattered 2 weeks ago, that the Young Bucks were opposite of Gabe Kidd in a ring fighting each other, in which the Young Bucks win after Gabe Kidd, as a babyface, won a cage match against one of the most hated heel groups, then comes out, and then because Tony Khan wants Gabe Kidd to be a mercenary at the pay-per-view for Double or Nothing, he's got to be a bad guy against the Young Bucks, who, I'm sorry, are also bad guys, also in the same match, also aligned with Gabe Kidd. I don't understand.
Well, neither does Tony. He doesn't watch. He doesn't know. He's...
It's just very, very frustrating because I'm watching this and it's like, okay, I guess you could explain it away. But that is once again one of my biggest pet peeves in pro wrestling, is where the audience is drawing the conclusions and making the story work for the companies that are booking this out. Yeah. They're looking for the reaction and saying, oh yeah, let's go with that kind of thread that the audience remembers that we don't.
You're giving him credit for putting too much thought into this whole thing as it is.
I believe he did. I believe he has put in thought because I think he wants Gabe Kidd and he's really testing the waters, kicking the wheels. I think all of this is in play.
Yeah, I mean, Kidd's definitely in play. Somebody told Tony that Gabe is good, but he doesn't know anything. He doesn't. Well, first of all, Tony's he books 4 hours of almost unwatchable television a week, and has Dynamite and Collision are utter crap. But they have talent, and he can make matches, but he can't book a show. That it's convoluted. None of it makes sense. It's 100 things thrown at the thing and nothing sticks. But he can put together a good pay-per-view card.
Sure.
So
I think that's fair.
And this is my point. The pay-per-views will sell 5,000-6,000 tickets when they put them in there. Dynamite has trouble getting 2,000 paid because the fans know that this is crap. It's not going to be a good show, and
they're not going to get the payoff that they know that they're going to get at a pay-per-view.
And he doesn't know. None of his feuds end. Like, he doesn't know how to do a blow-off, and it's either stuff that doesn't make sense or no one believes, or it just dwindles away. Don't even talk like MJF, Adam Cole, like just never. Yeah, a million different things. Okada has figured it out and realized all he has to do is say the word bitch once a week and do nothing, and he's just cashing checks. So he's a lot smarter than most of the people there who are falling off buildings for something that makes no difference. And but they can put together good pay-per-views, and then once all that gaga and all that crap and all that trying to tell a story is over with, when they can just wrestle each other, something pretty good happens. Because he at least understands, if I put this guy in against this guy, the match will be good. It's just going station to station is just a torture trail. And
I get frustrated with Tony Khan, and I get frustrated with the booking of AEW because you're absolutely correct. It's all predicated on building to the pay-per-view card.
Which is what it should be, except you need to do it well, and he doesn't.
But there's a lot of extra meat on the bone that they're leaving for these Collision shows. And it's not really like, it's the Daniel Garcia hour, it's the FTRs, and it's the Gates of Agony, and it's Willow and Chris Statlander instead of like them being on Dynamite. It's the people that aren't like the total build for the pay-per-view. Like, you don't get the pay-per-view build epic stuff on Collision. You get it on Dynamite because that's where they want to make sure that that that's the big deal. My whole thing with Gabe Kidd is that for New Japan and AEW to fully thrive in a co-promotional thing, you need to respect what the others doing with their booking. And New Japan respects it when they bring those guys in and they book around what Tony wants with Nick Wayne and Kevin Knight right now. And sure, whatever. I'm liking what's going on there. But when it comes to those Japanese talents coming or for the Japanese promotion coming to America, like all bets are off. Look, I'm going to rewrite the book on Gabe Kidd. I'm gonna use Tomohiro Ishii in the conglomeration or whatever like fan favorite group that he's in AEW. It's fine. It's whatever. I just want it to mesh better. I want like the considerations of what's going on. If War Dogs are baby faces in Japan, I don't care if it makes a really great sense to have Gabe Kidd as a heel mercenary, because maybe Eddie Kingston is finally going to come back for that injury that happened in the New Japan show. Let me go and be an equalizer.
And that seems to be what they're building to, yeah.
That all kind of works. And I like it. But sometimes if New Japan's already heading in a direction and you missed your window, you missed your window. Right? Like, you're trying to make it happen because 85% of the people don't know what's going on in Japan with this guy. All they know is that he's a badass. He fought Kenny Omega and he was a bad guy or whatever. Like, according to AEW fans watching Wrestle Dynasty, he was the bad guy and Kenny Omega was the hero. It's very simplified stuff. It's almost insulting. It gets frustrating. But at the same time, once they get it out of my system here, I'm pretty much over it.
Yeah, and I don't think AEW fans pay that much attention to New Japan.
I don't think so either.
And USVA guy mentions 3,500 last night paid in Albuquerque. That's a big paid crowd for AEW. Thanks to that's to myself. That's thanks to USVA guy and his street team helping Rocky out. Only 800 sold after the first 2 weeks. Yowza. Let's see what else here we have. Venkin says Mariah May. Tony might be over if Mariah leaves. That gimmick is always going to have a shelf life. I think Tony has done wonderful things with it, but there's no way that can go on forever.
I'll tell you what, if Mina and Tony has no mention of Mariah whatsoever, that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. But you know what? Again, and for all the people that are sitting here listening, like I'm just an AEW hater, that's fair enough. I've criticized AEW a lot. It has. I hate their TV shows. They're awful.
For all those that say that, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
I'm a hater.
Well, that's my point. Yes, you're correct. I hate their television shows. Their pay-per-views are very good.
Meanwhile, I'll be reviewing the pay-per-view with Derek Gonzalez this weekend on the Fight TV channel.
I beat up AEW more because they tend to infect or become problematic for New Japan
and despoil your
and,
New Japan.
And cause issues for New Japan more than the others. WWE is not distinguishing itself post WrestleMania. Those shows have been bad too, and it's just that not a whole lot. They've gone the other way. If AEW is throwing everything at the wall and nothing's sticking, WWE's not throwing anything. Just like not a whole lot's happening there. And I don't want to get into WWE. My only point is the only effect that it's had is Jeff Cobb leaving and going there. Whereas it seems like AEW tangles up New Japan and stuff all the time, it feels like right there.
So. There are a couple matches of Double or Nothing that have me excited. But for the most part, Western wrestling has left me pretty flat. And the only thing that has really gotten my blood pumping has frankly been this Best of Super Juniors tournament.
I got more to talk about.
You now?
Oh, God, yes. So, okay, let's get to some things. Venkin mentions Okada is on the Nakamura Road show up to do the bare minimum and get paid a lot. Yep, that is correct. And, Colin mentions not that they'll be carrying, but regarding Okada's career, it's over. They've ruined him. I think if Okada comes back to New Japan, if he does, he'll probably be fine. But, yeah, and still – in AEW, yeah. And then Brad asked a fair question. He said, are War Dogs faces? They both play heel and face all the time. Yeah, I think they're more tweeners. They're certainly heels at times. They're certainly baby faces against House of Torture. But Robbie X is healing it up. Ishimori is healed. Maloney less so. I feel like the British and American part of that aren't so. And Finley's clearly going to be the baby face in that dog collar match that's coming up. I feel like Maloney and Kidd are flat out baby faces in New Japan. Connors. The crowd doesn't boo him. Connors is healing.
Oh, come on.
Almost in a way that makes the people love him with the tire thing.
Tire thing, the baby face thing. He's bringing it out, raising it in the air and going wheels on.
Yeah.
Okay, like The dude is going back to his race car gimmick that he had right when he got out of being like a young lion, and he's as a war dog. He's having fun. Everything about this dude is amazing. Robbie X is heel.
He makes a point. Robbie X is a little heelish, and Ishimori is heelish.
He's just Bullet Club.
Well, I guess if there's
Ishimori, like you can go either way on him. He's just Ishimori. Like it's not like babyface Ishimori is any different than heel Ishimori. He's just Ishimori.
And Colin mentioned there is no Jeff Cobb anymore. He is JC Mateo.
I knew a guy that I worked with named Mateo, and every time I think I'm like, oh, Mateo, he was a cool dude.
All right. So I also went to sumo. Okay. I went to Grand Sumo. That was very, very cool. On the 12th, I had a blast seeing the guys I've been rooting for a while. And, Go Onosato. There he is right there. Got a little fan. And behind me now, over on this side, I'm doing the weatherman thing. Over here, that is an Onosato towel that will be up as he is on his drive for Yokozuna promotion. And that was very exciting, Jeremy. And probably the most Japanese thing you can do in some ways culturally is to go to a sumo match. But we went to one there. We saw both Ozeki's and the Yokozuna win that day. And if Onosato wins this tournament, most people believe he will become another Yokozuna, and he's my favorite. So I was very excited to see that. And that was a cool thing. That was in Sumo Hall, Ryogoku Kokugikan. And it's the only – I've been to Ryogoku Kokugikan 2 times, never for New Japan. It's always been for Grand Sumo. So.
You want to know something weird?
Well, yeah, sure.
During the whole time that I never paid attention to sumo, when you got back, I ended up on Reddit, and I saw like a next effing level like post, and it was about a sumo wrestler named Ura.
Yeah, Ura
took down Takayasu with this super rare front forward, like lean backward, tuck under knockdown. Yeah, and it was just one of those things like, okay, I get it. I get sumo now.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'll tell you what else too. Colin is on board with me that Onosato is the 75th Yokozuna. Think about that. 600 years of sumo. There have only been 74 grand champions. Dang. But and that's coming up. If he wins this tournament, that was it. Yeah, and Colin saw the move too. It's pretty incredible to watch. And the athleticism of these guys is pretty amazing. I mean, yes, they have the guts and everything, but if you watch them, their shoulders and arms are ripped. Their legs are ripped. That's the only part of them that's not ripped. And part of it is for protection. Right. Because if there's so much of that pushing and slapping and stuff like that, that it actually helps cushion some of that. And you're not taking muscle damage. You get bruised, but it's not your muscles getting hit so much. And so when we went to this thing, we were part of a tour group. And they gave us a towel. I bought my own Osato towel because it's just kind of random. I got an Oho towel, which is pretty cool too. Oho's real good. And they also gave us a little bit of yakitori, which is grilled chicken on a stick, right? That's the yakitori. Mm-hmm. And she told me something that I had never thought of, Jeremy, and that sumo wrestlers are superstitious about yakitori. They tend to eat a lot of yakitori, and they tend to eat a lot of chicken. And, sometimes chanko has chicken in it. Sometimes it has pork. That's the stew that they eat with ungodly amounts of rice to gain their weight. And Brad, I will get to your question in just a moment. But they eat a lot of chicken. And they said it's a superstition because the rules of sumo, Jeremy, is to get your opponent either out of the ring or to have any part of your opponent's body touch the floor that's not the soles of his feet. If he even brushes his fingertip across the floor, he's down, he loses, right? Anything touches the clay other than the soles of his feet, or you get knocked out of the ring. Chickens run around on 2 legs, and their wings never touch the ground. They want to be like chickens. They want to be like chickens.
Sure.
I know. So the pork, 4 on the floor, right? No good. But so sumo wrestlers eat a lot of chicken because they want to be like chickens. The only things that touch the ground are the feet. That's it. Nothing else. And someone asked the question, well, don't they touch the ground with their mouths when they peck? And she quickly moved on to another subject. So I'm not sure the whole thing holds up, but apparently there's a superstition around chicken, and there was a lot of chicken at the concession stands being sold.
I feel like Japan is ribbing Western tourism all the fucking time.
It's possible. Brad's asking, as someone that doesn't follow sumo, what makes someone a yokozuna? This is the trickiest part. Everything else in sumo is sort of done with mathematics. If you win, you get promoted. you move up the ranks, you get to the Magashiras, which is the rank and file at the top division. By the way, if you make Magashira, you're already great. It's a little bit like making the pros, the top level. And there are several levels below that, and too much to get into here. But you get promoted to Komusubi, Sekiwake, Ozeki. All that's kind of math. If you win enough matches over a consistent number of tournaments, you get promoted. Yokozuna is the only one where there is a subjective aspect to it. To move from Ozeki to Yokozuna, grand champion, you have to conduct yourself in a certain way. You are supposed to be representing the entire nation of Japan, which is controversial because there hasn't been a Japanese Yokozuna in something like 30 years, since the 90s, I think, maybe. There have been Mongolian and Hawaiian. Chad Rowan, Akebono was American. And Ono Sato has a lot of support right now because they're excited at the idea of a Japanese Yokozuna. You have to show not just one fighting style, but you have to be good in a lot of different ways. You have to have the right conduct in public. You can't have any controversies about you. And some of them do. These are very, famous public athletes. Some of them have had affairs. Some of them have had some unsavory stuff, and that kind of that's tough to become a Yokozuna. At that point, they just say, well, you don't have the intangibles to be a Yokozuna. So you have to have a very well-rounded game. You need to have been successful in tournaments, and you need to have these intangibles, which is probably the hardest part because they've denied a lot of very good wrestlers Yokozuna status based on vague intangibles. And there's a committee that decides these things. So the thing is about a Yokozuna, once you are a Yokozuna, it's the only rank from which you cannot be demoted. You are a Yokozuna for life. You are a grand champion for life. And the thing is, if you aren't competitive anymore and everybody ages out, everybody gets hurt. If you aren't competitive, you're expected to retire. You are expected to go away if you can't consistently win tournaments. And that's extraordinarily hard to do. So there's a lot of pressure to being a Yokozuna because anyone else can kind of slide down the ranks and hold on and stay in the business for a few years. And you're a lot of guys that make Ozeki that are now a little lower in the ranks, but they're still pros. They're still making money. They're still pro athletes, right? But if you go into a tournament and all of a sudden the Yokozuna is 8-7, 7-8 consistently in a tournament, no good. You're expected to walk away. And that's a tough one. There's a lot that's not black and white about being a Yokozuna. And that's why there have probably only been 74 of them and why one being promoted is such an enormous deal. So there you go. And yeah, Colin mentions, even if you're a Yokozuna, you're still considered an Ozeki. So that's a whole thing. That's the level below. It's just like an extra level of promotion there. So, and then the other thing now, Jeremy, I went to the Tudokan shop.
Okay.
And this is, and we're going to get to Super Juniors. I'm sorry. I'm just excited about all this stuff.
No, I'm giving you the floor to get it all out, dude. And
I bought some stuff. So they had a whole bunch of programs and things. Here's a program from All Together Again from, remember Ryogoku Kokugi-kan, where we had the
June
Noah
9th,
and All
2023.
Yeah. Got that. I got a program from the final match in Budokan for Kenta Kobashi, one of my favorite all-time wrestlers. And here's a program from Battle Formation of April 1997. Shinya
Are these
Hashimoto.
reprints or like they still have copies?
They still have copies of these. These are all things that you can buy there at the Tudokan shop. So at Tudokan, they have acres of old magazines, old programs, old fan club magazines. This is where I bought my my autographs in the past. It's also where I got my ticket stubs. I bought a ticket stub to the first ever Noah show last time I was in Japan. And then I picked this up. This is an autograph here again of this is Mitsuharu Masawa and Jun Akiyama. So two all-time Hall of Famers there on the same board. This is from the 1996 World Tag League in All Japan. And this one I thought was cool, Jeremy. I had to get it. This is Shinsuke Nakamura and Hiroshi Tanahashi, both on the same shiki there. So there you go.
Did Nakamura sign it while doing a pose? Because it would be really like he's like signing with one hand if he's got his arm
right.
out.
As he's bent all the way back or something like that. That would be good. And then the other thing, my big purchase here And this is, I have it right here. This is a ring-worn, match-worn Bushi mask.
From where?
From May 31st, 2024 at Korakuen Hall is the day
What
he
was
wore this.
What was happening during then?
Super Juniors.
Okay.
It was
Is that a
last year's
Super Juniors logo on the mask?
Best of the Super Junior 31. There you see right there on the mask. And here's the front of it. You can see that. And it's got BOSJ 31 here on the side, right here. And it comes with a little, it's also, here's the back flap right there where you see Bushi's autograph. I can see if I can get that on camera. But there's Bushi's autograph of this thing. And I also got a little photograph of him wearing it like I really needed it. But I certainly went
ring proof.
I certainly went back and watched NJPW World, the show, to see, and to say, there's the mask, and there's Bushi wearing this. So I finally got, Jeremy, after hesitating and hemming and hawing, I finally just went ahead and bought that is a ring-worn New Japan.
He's saying the thing I wanted to know.
I spent about,
and now we got this one.
I spent about $500 on
Good
some
for
of this.
you.
I know I don't treat myself very often, but did I put the mask on? No, I haven't tried. I have not put the mask on. No. Yeah.
People want to know.
I've considered it, but I didn't do it.
Hey, Steven, I made a purchase this week through Blacksmith Apparel.
What'd you get?
I bought a rug.
You bought a rug? All right.
I bought a New Japan rug.
A New Japan rug. It has like a lion mark on it?
It's the lion mark with an acrylic design. They made 100 rugs. And for the life of me, I don't know if they're any still available. But I was like, okay, I did it. And I'm not going to tell you how much it costs, but you can go to the website. And also, my wife is not going to know either.
Okay, we're kayfabing it. Yeah,
we are kayfabing the rug.
Yeah, if you're into wrestling, yeah, that's cool. I hope you enjoy the rug.
It's gonna tie the room together that I did.
It ties the whole room together. Are you going to put it in your office? Like, are you
looking at the floor of the room that you're podcasting in?
Are you going to be? Are you going to be? I'll answer your question, Bacon, in just a second. Are you going to be sitting on the? Is your chair going to be on the New Japan rug when you do the show going forward?
No, I don't. These are all things. Like, I have dogs. They might pee on the rug. I don't know these things, Steven. I just had to get this rug because it was really cool.
Brad said the rugs are still available. I bought the new Osprey baseball jersey today. Oh, that's
the
cool.
one that was on Dynamite last night.
And the rug was still up to order. So remember, just don't tell Jeremy's wife what it cost. That's all we ask, Brad. And then Benkin is asking genuinely, how do these stores get these ring-worn masks? My guess is that there's either a consignment aspect to it, or Bushi sells them to Tudo-Okan to sell and mark up, because there were a bunch of Bushi ones. There were some Mystico ones from Fantastica Mania tours. I think there might have been a couple of Tetons, but a lot of the Fantastica Mania guys had masks up at Tudo-Okan, and they come with a little card saying when they were worn and a little photograph. And so far, I don't have any reason to believe that Tudo-Okan is bullcrapping any of this. I think these are legitimately ones. So either they sell the masks to Tudo-Okan, then Tudo-Okan marks them up and puts them on the shelf, or it's a thing where it's up there, and if it sells, Bushi gets a cut. It's one of those two things.
Do you think it's possible that New Japan pays for the mask to be made, and then Bushi wears it, and then they sell it after?
That could be possible. I mean, any of those combinations are possible there, but it also is signed by the artist that designed the mask. That's part of it too.
Yeah. And then makes me that if Bushi's spending a ton of money to do a one and done on these things, like either he could sell them, or he's got an arrangement with New Japan as part of their contract, is that they produce the mask and then they have the opportunity to sell it afterwards for a markup.
That's very possible as well. I don't know the answer to that, but Bushi does a lot of customs. You notice that he doesn't wear the same mask very much, and there were a lot of them in this store. Others there, and you got to be careful of this, they are marked. They don't try to bullcrap you, but if you don't read Japanese, it can be tricky. They have replica masks, and I was really considering buying a Tiger Mask, one from Tiger Mask 2, which would have been Mitsuharu Misawa. And I was looking at it and almost went and got the clerk, but then I figured out that was a replica because it had this match and from this match and all this. And I looked it up on YouTube. I found the match and I'm like, oh God, that's it. Is that a Mitsuharu Misawa mask and all this stuff? But it did state on the little card. And there's a lot of information on these little cards they give you, not give you, but are with the mask that it's a replica. But I was careful to ask the clerk, like, this is a real, and he showed like these shelves real, these shelves. I can't remember what word he used,
replica
but
or
copy, replica, that type of thing. I'm like, okay, all right, I got it. I thought it would have been more expensive. It was a little cheaper. The tiger mask one was a little cheaper than I would have thought it would be, considering
it
what
may
it
not
was.
be as like in demand in 2025 as it would have been maybe in 2015 or you know what I mean. Like,
well, the thing about
it's a
Misawa
generational thing.
The thing about Misawa is he died in the ring, so it's like he can't sign any more things. He can't have any more masks and all that stuff. So
there's also some superstition to people for people that die. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they become cases that you can't really consider the norm when like you die in the ring because you know you got the guy from Paris Del Mall that happened to it like 10 years ago. Like each one of them, like every time you think about it, you're like, ugh, just kind of
yeah. So that was a nice day at Tudo-Con, and I bought a bunch of stuff and walked out of there having spent way too much money, but I'm happy about it. I think it's nice to have. It's something, and especially because Bushi has now walked away from New Japan, we don't know how many more matches he's going to have. Right. He does have a restaurant to run, and he may be going back just to do that. Who knows if he'll turn up? We know that Naito is going to have his eye worked on and his knee worked on before he does much
on his right eye.
Yeah, before he does much of anything else. So Bushi, basically just asked out, and his contract wasn't up. He quit.
So with me when Naito did the "Who's Coming With Me," he was the Renee Zellweger.
He's always been that, but he has a business, so sure. It might have been in his mind to.
He saw his moment. He's like, "It's time. I'm good. Let's go." Fine.
The other thing, I ate at Ribera Steakhouse again. That's the legendary steakhouse that Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen made famous by going in there. This little tiny place, about 10 seats, and it's a tiny little steakhouse in Gatanda, but it's delicious. It's really good. And it is now wallpapered with photos of the wrestlers who have eaten there in the past. And it became a go-to place for foreign wrestlers. And so you got Bruiser Brody would show it to people when they would come to town. So Brody's there, Stan Hansen, the Funks, Nick Bockwinkel, Ric Flair, the Road Warriors for sure are in there. Who else? Ricky Steamboat and Sting, Big Van Vader, all the major Hulk Hogan, the major foreign names are all there. And the cool thing, Jeremy, is that the little tiny guy, and he is a little tiny guy running this store, this little steakhouse. It's the same guy that's in all these pictures with the guys from the 1980s, 40 years ago, like Kerry Von Erich. For the 3 weeks that Kerry Von Erich was a world champion, he came to Ribera while he was the champion for those 3 weeks, because he lost the title to Ric Flair in Japan.
How was the steak?
That must have been the steak. But
how was the steak? How was the steak?
Oh, delicious. It's great. I understand why Brody loved it. I understand. It's served on basically a fajita plate. So it comes on this scalding hot plate, and it's just sizzling, and it's served with corn cooking. And rice. And it's wonderful. It's a really good steak. Big old honking ribeye. And of course they have various sizes and all that. I got one of the bigger ones, but not the biggest one. There's one there that was a little intimidatingly wrestler size steak there, but very, very good, very tasty. And you're in and out quick, boy, because he throws it on that thing and it cooks fast. So like most of these places that are small, when you only have about a dozen seats, and I don't even know if it has that many, you might have only 10. It's just one bar and you're sitting on stools. They have to get you in and out quickly to turn the place over so they can sell more. That's the only way.
I can eat a steak quick. I can do that.
Oh, see, Nick Wayne got his jacket from Ribera. Yeah, and that's the other part of it is you see guys that have gone from the United States or England, Australia, anywhere the foreign wrestlers coming to Japan, they get a Ribera jacket, and it's a bit of an honor. It's a rite of passage. You've become a Japanese wrestling foreign star there. So those Ribera jackets are coveted. So you can Nick Wayne apparently got his last week. So good for him. That's pretty cool. So it's the same guy. They have a second location now, but I wanted to have my steak served to me by the same guy who served Bruiser Brody. Same guy that served Ric Flair.
You needed the authentic, like,
and he doesn't. He wouldn't know English if it bit him in the. He has nothing. You cannot.
Nor any interest to learn.
Right. It is pointing and pointing. And you think about it. If he's been cooking steaks there since 1981, how old is this guy?
Ancient.
He doesn't look it because you can't tell.
Probably around 80. If he started cooking steak when he was like 15 or 20.
Yeah.
And that's 45 years because I was born in 81. I know how many years that is.
The restaurant was his father's first, but he was running it when Brody discovered it, I guess. I don't know how Brody found this place, by the way. That's what I'd be very curious about because it's not anywhere near the buildings that New Japan ran. I looked. So, I'm a venue nerd, right? So I looked up, where would Brody have found this? I have no idea how Brody.
He probably was like, I need a steakhouse. And they're like, go to this place. And he was like, okay.
Could have been. But it was a couple of trains to get there. It's not, it's on the Yamanote line, so you can get there. But it's not any place convenient to anything. But Venka, Brody, want to say, you can get steak a lot of places in Tokyo, thankfully. I had this all-you-can-eat Wagyu steak experience in Ginza, Jeremy, that blew my mind. It's just absolutely spectacular. Not cheap, but worth it. Delicious.
Life is all about experiences, my man.
And the last thing I did, a Yomiuri Giants game. I went to the Yomiuri Giants and the Shinichi Dragons and sat in the cheering section in the outfield, which is a lot of work, by the way. That's the cheering sections there are almost like behind the goals at soccer matches where the hardcore fans are. That's football, Colin, sorry. But they have a band out there in the field. They have instruments and they play, and they have guys waving giant flags in choreographed. They're not just all willy-nilly. They have patterns and all this stuff. And when your team is at bat, and we were there in the Giants section, every single player for the Giants and the other team too. There was a section in the left field bleachers for the Dragons fans. Everyone has a song or a chant, and you do that song or chant their entire at bat. There's no stopping. And then while they're switching, while their walk-up music is playing and all that stuff, you do a little generic Giants, go Giants chant. And then you go right into the next thing. So while your team is at bat, you don't go to the bathroom. You don't go to the concession stand. You stand there and you sing, you do your chant. And then when the Dragons are batting, that's when you can do that. Then you sit down and you stay quiet, and it's their turn to sing and chant. It's very Japanese. But, so they don't try to shout each other down, and none of the chants are negative. They're all about our guy, go our guy. There's no Dragons or Giants.
The spirit of fair play.
Yes. Yeah. But it's a lot of work. You're waving, yelling, and singing basically for half the game.
Assimilating into a culture in which they do things not quite the way Western culture does has to be a very humbling experience. And a lot of people are unable to do that.
Yeah. I'm really glad I got a chance to do it, though, and see that. I'm a big baseball nut.
Yeah.
So going to a Giants game was a bbig bucket list thing. So great trip. I'm happy to be back here. And if
do you feel like you were part of a revolution, Stephen?
Well, I'm imagining a Yankees and Red Sox crowd like that, or Giants versus Dodgers. Not going to happen. The funny thing
there was a guy that I knew, kind of dark, that got stabbed at a Giants game by a Dodger fan.
I heard about this.
Like 20.
Is this the one that made national news?
Yeah, I knew that guy.
Yeah, you knew the guy that got stabbed.
Yeah, it was from Santa Cruz. I was in Santa Cruz. It was like,
wow,
it was like running in the same circles kind of thing. Like,
I remember that story.
Heartbreaking. I moved away. Well, that guy, his life was never the same.
Well, Brad mentions the Giants and Dodgers. The Yomiuri Giants, the Tokyo Giants, their colors, the fonts on their jerseys, all the same as the San Francisco Giants and the New York Giants before it. And it was interesting, though, Jeremy, because the Dragons from Shinichi, the Shinichi Dragons, they're not from, that's the sponsor. They're from Nagoya. That's where their team is. The Shinichi Dragons, they're in Dodger blue, and the word Dragons on their jersey is in the same font as Dodgers here. So it was a little bit like watching
Dodgers Dragons. I see it.
Yeah. And so it was a bit of a kick where it did feel like you were at a Giants Dodger game in Tokyo, and you were at a Giants Dragons game, but much
was
more
it windy? Because it's always windy in the Bay when you're at a Giants game.
In the Tokyo Dome.
No, it wasn't truly a Giants Dodgers game because the wind on the West Coast in Chavez Ravine and at Oracle Park are unforgiving sometimes.
No, thankfully the only breeze we got was from the air conditioner.
There it is.
And we were very close to the top of the dome in the back of that place, but it was still a blast. Everybody was very nice and were helping us with the hand motions you do during the chants and the cheers.
Were you able to sit and be like, I was at that point on the floor, like 4 months ago? I was right there.
I could kind of see where I was sitting there. I could see where I was sitting. I believe they put the ring basically at second base.
Okay.
I think that's basically where they put it right there. So I could see that. I could see the end. I could see the little doors that were closed for baseball where I came in to the floor of the dome and all that. So, and USVA guy says, I bought a pair of tights worn by Shingo Takagi from Forbidden Door 1. Shingo was looking to sell it a few years ago back, $1,000. Yeah. They also have tights and jackets and gear, ring worn from wrestlers.
I don't even wear all my own clothes that I buy. Why would I buy somebody else's clothes? I'm kidding.
But you can get a couple of Great O'Con outfits and guys from all different promotions up there. So.
I was trying to talk you into buying me a mask over in Japan, but I'm like, I'm not sure I was able to, Venmo you $200 and then some more money for shipping.
That wouldn't have covered it. That wouldn't have covered it, my brother. That was
I honestly didn't know. And I was like, it's probably better that I just go do it myself when I go to Japan and for Wrestle Kingdom.
That was about 200 right over there. So or 400. I mean, that was about 400 for that guy. So, but anyway, great time. We've got wrestling to talk about. I appreciate everybody indulging me a little bit and telling you about my trip and some of the things that went on there that were both sports and wrestling.
Well, I have talked better. I talked a lot the last couple of weeks.
But thanks for everybody for listening to all that babbling. But good times. And the main thing is, if you're into history like I am, Tudo Okan, and Ribera, I mean, you can't beat it. You're just looking around. You're sitting on the same stools where all these legends, and it's a who's who. It's a true who's who, both places. And they have little instant photos, not quite Polaroids, but the smaller ones of the wrestlers when they come in there and the date that they were in there. And you realize that just a lot of them are wrestling nerds too, like we are, that just want to be part of all this stuff. So DVDs, ring worn gear, masks, magazines, programs, ticket stubs, Tudo-Okan is heaven for wrestling fans. So.
I'm going to throw this comment up here and nip it in the bud real quick. Maybe it's me, but one-off gear for a one-show SoundCloud. It's awesome. Like, if that's your jam, if you like getting something from a show you really love, or you get to buy gear and then go back to the archive and see where it was, hell yeah. There's stuff like that in the world that I'm not going to yuck that yum, but I'm also just maybe not a purchase I would make.
And that's why I wonder if people sell it to the wrestlers, sometimes sell this stuff to the store, because it's not just New Japan, it's all the different promotions. Sure. I wonder if they don't just sell it to the store for the place to mark it up and then sell it, that type of thing. And and a lot of them do one-offs. Bushi's, if you really watch Bushi, especially, you rarely see a Bushi mask in the ring twice.
Yeah, he doesn't do repeat business on those masks.
But if he's selling them, I mean, if it's a good gig for him, he seems to have a business mind. He's running a restaurant. He's doing this, so maybe he just has a mind for it.
Man knows how to hustle, and there are people out there that just know how to do that.
And a lot of the guys also still have sponsors, which are the fans, wealthy fans in Japan who will take them out to dinner. And I remember Gallows and Anderson talking about how they had a guy that was just a big nut for them, just loved Gallows and Anderson when they were a top Japan tag team, and would buy their gear all the time. It would just, if Gallows wore a jacket to a big show, he would buy the jacket off of Gallows, and Gallows would take that money and get more gear, or it would supplement his income from the tour. So there's a lot of that going on out there where guys will sell their ring-worn gear, and there's a market for it in Japan in a lot of ways, not just Tudo-Okan.
Patronage in wrestling is always weird to me, but again, it's not for me, but it may be for other people.
Yeah, and not everybody does it. Like not every foreign wrestler does it, but for the ones that are, you hang out with the guy, you socialize, he picks up the tab, and you get dinner afterwards at a fairly nice place, and you just have to kind of keep the guy coming, ask him, answer questions, or just hang out. Some just want to hang out with some just want to hang out with wrestlers. Some people want to hang out with wrestlers. They start a whole wrestling company so they can hang out with wrestlers.
The one guy I think that make me cringe.
I'm having fun.
The ones that make me cringe are the ones that specifically seem to identify with young, attractive female wrestlers and want to provide patronage for them, and then it just
that's a whole other.
Weird. It's all the same thing, but it just gets weird when you start thinking about the women aspect of it.
Right? Yeah,
but it is all essentially the same thing. If you really want to get down to it, it's just the boundaries and what the wrestler feels comfortable versus what they kind of have to do to make it meet. And so
fair enough.
That's always been something that I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it is. And it is interesting, Benken. He says, I wouldn't expect that in the U.S. No, I think that would go terribly poorly in the United States. I think that would just go absolutely rotten here. That would go wrong very quickly, unfortunately. I don't think we
bad faith at some point would exist.
Yeah, I figure that this, if the guy did anything untoward, that Gallows and Anderson probably could have taken him.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in it for the business.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember if Mick Foley talks about any of this in his book. Foley is notoriously cheap. Like Mick Foley doesn't spend
Brutal.
money. He is famous for not spending money, and on his Japanese tours, and I guess when he would go out with Leon White, Big Van Vader, when he would be in Japan at the same time, he would see these hotel bills with room service and all this stuff on it for Vader, who's spending a ton, and he said, "Oh," and Vader was surprised. "Oh, is that more than you spend?" And Foley was just like, "I went and I had like food from 7-Eleven last night and went to bed." Like he spent nothing in Japan, and apparently Vader was living large. But I don't remember if he got into the whole thing about sponsors. But it is an odd to us, but common in Japan subculture of rich fans who take the guys out for dinner and drinks afterwards and that type of thing. It happens all the time, and it's voluntary. You don't have to do it, but it is a way to not spend money. You're getting paid for your shows, and it's a way to not spend money on food or not spend on drinks. And sometimes apparently the guy just sits there and enjoys the fact that he's watching a bunch of wrestlers chat while they have their yakiniku.
He's in their presence, and that's enough.
Some of them just want to hang out. Just want to hang out. And I guess that's not so bad as long as no one's pushed into anything uncomfortable.
And your boundaries aren't being pushed, or you are in a position where you can say no and they're not going to fight it. Great.
Yeah. Which again is why it might be different with the Joshis and everything else. Right. That's right. Because that's the other thing I noticed too, is Starlight Kid. I knew intellectually that Starlight Kid was small. I did. And I was there in January. I've seen her in person. But
you're like, oh my God, you are tiny.
I was in the third row. So and third row at Korakuen, where there's no room. Like your knees are in the back of the person in front of you. The people behind you are on top of you. You're squished in like sardines. It is a packed environment. So third row is probably second row at a lot of shows. You know what I mean? Like you're just that close. And she is tiny. It's really hard to. And
Osby like Selena Vega tiny, just like 5 foot nothing. And
she's 5. If she's 5 foot, it's because she's wearing shoes. No, I don't think she's 5 feet tall.
She's the 4'10". She's the 4'10" fighter.
Oh, she is, and just so. And I don't, not just short, but it's small. I mean, we know that Momokogo and Saki Kashima are all arms.
I'm thinking like Roxanne Perez now.
Smaller than her. I mean, she's not as thick,
Jeez.
and I don't mean that in any way. But I mean, like she's near.
But you're getting a scale, right? Like I'm saying like smaller and smaller wrestlers.
Well, I think her shoulders aren't as wide as Roxanne's. Like she's that tiny. Like she's just. It's hard to believe that she's. And then she goes up and has this terrific match where she's diving and jumping and putting all these submission holds on. It looks great, and I'm a big fan of Starlight Kid, but it really startled me sometimes how small some of the people on the Stardom roster are, because Azumi was still coming back from Resurgence. So Resurgence was Friday night in the United States. That's Saturday morning in Japan, and this was a Sunday morning show. So she would have still either just gotten back to Japan, even if she just went straight to the airport. It's 12, 13-hour flight or whatever.
Wait,
so
she had to wrestle in Japan on Sunday?
No, I'm saying she wasn't on the card, but she would be the only person on the show I can think of that's probably as tiny as Starlight now. It's
Got
like
it.
they're.
Well, I was just thinking, like when you mentioned that, I'm like, wait a minute, Azumi? She was back on Dynamite the Wednesday after.
Yeah,
so
no,
if that
she
was
wasn't.
the case, she would have gone to Japan and come back and like insane.
No, the only two people really on that roster that weren't there were Lady C, who was booked at somebody's retirement show somewhere else, and Azumi, who was at Resurgence there. And yeah, Venkin mentions that Azumi came back to Japan yesterday, probably. Some other comments there. Fat Ass Masa is a well-known sponsor, especially for the Bucks.
I remember being the Elite. Who can forget being the Elite?
And then what else here? What do they mention? The USVA guy says he has some sponsor stories. I bet he does. Probably can't tell them here in a lot of cases. But did you have to get for hate share bowling? I'm not sure what you mean there. Oh no, okay, I do know what you mean. Excuse me. Did I have to leave my seat because hate was throwing people into the seats? No, we were like some of the only people on the floor that didn't have.
You had to get moved for hate share bowling.
We had to get up and move a little bit because they threw them into. We were in the middle of the row, so we were dead on center to the ring, which was great. The seats were fantastic. But hate ended up using the ends of the row. So they were coming off the aisles and smashing people into the chairs. So we had to move because some of the people that were in those chairs had to move. But our seat never budged. I never got anybody thrown into my seat. But the one thing that happened, Ruaka from Hate was throwing somebody babyface around into the chairs, and again, Korakuen Hall is just tiny. So if you're sitting on the floor, you just come in through the same aisles that the wrestlers come in through sometimes. And Ruaka throws her into the seats, and she's stuck in her, and she's going to throw her in another one. She turns around, and there is a Korakuen Hall usher helping what I think is a 2,000-year-old woman get to a seat. And this 2,000-year-old woman is hunched over, and she's tiny, and she's shuffling her little feet along, and it's just taking forever. And you see Ruaka turn around actually make the face like, oh, like this one, a stiff breeze is going to kill this person. And she was just about to Irish whip somebody that direction. And she had to just change we'll go over here instead. Like, had to completely change direction.
Pivot.
Pivot. Yeah. And that was pretty funny because you could see this woman like inching her way past the front row, and there's no barricades. So they were the shortest distance for this woman to get to whatever seat she was in was just going in front of the front row. So she's between the front row and the ring. It's basically on the mat, and yeah, poor Ruaka almost ended up wiping out this poor lady. But Ruaka caught it and had this look like, oh, geez, I gotta, and shifted gears immediately, which everybody kind of had a little laugh in our zone because we all saw what happened. And but she was okay. She was okay.
Nice. You want to try and get a half hour on the best of the Super Jingers?
Yeah, let's do that.
So what do you want to do? You want to talk about the blogs and just go down and talk about
Let's look at the standings and then just talk about some of the things we're saying. So A block, let's bring up A block. We have Master Wado is on 8 points. Okay, so here's the basics on this. They're doing the same story in both blocks. There is no have and have not this year. Everybody is being booked very evenly. It speaks to how wide open the tournament is, and I'm kind of enjoying that. And it's a situation where Master Wado in A block has 8 points. He's 4-2. Ninja Mac has only 4 points. He's 2-4. Everybody else, Kushida, Hiromu, Fujita, Francesco Akira, Clark Connors, Robbie X, Kanemaru, Dragon Dia, are all 3-3 on 6 points. That's how tight this is.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been very interesting to me. Of course, the last couple of days, anybody that's 2-3 wrestling somebody that's 3-2, you kind of know what's going to happen. You kind of know what's going to happen. But I think the shows have been entertaining. And Jeremy, from this thing here, Watto's the front runner. We're not getting semifinals and finals. It's just winner of A block versus winner of B block. These will involve tiebreakers. Looking at all this here, I like Fujita's tiebreakers. He has a win. His wins are over Watto, Hiromu, and Akira.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that some of those people are going to be involved late in this one. And I kind of like his tiebreakers. The other person's tiebreakers I like a little bit less, but I like him in this situation. Francesco Akira on 6 points, Hiromu, Dragon Dia, and Ninja Mac. His losses are to Fujita, Nobu, and Master Watto. Looking at this, it might be Kosei Fujita coming out of Block A with the tiebreakers.
Yeah, my 3 that I mentioned earlier that I had were Fujita, Akira, and Hiromu being the 3 most likely to exit out of this tournament. And so here's where we're at in the tournament. We're on night 7 of block play. We have 4 more nights of action. Saturday and Sunday, we have 10 matches each. On Tuesday, we have the A block final. And on Thursday, we have the B block final. So everybody has 3 matches left.
Yeah.
Basically, the last third of everyone's tournament is now in play. So we're like setting up the denouement, if you will. Like the stage is set. And then after that, we're going to have, A1 and A2 and B1 and B2 facing off on, I believe, the 29th. And then on the 1st, we have the finals. So we're headed right into like deadline here.
Yeah.
And there are basically, there are 3 matches that I look at on the A block final that really feel important. And that's Fujita versus Clark Connors, Kushida versus Akira, and Hiromu versus Robbie X. Those feel like the winners of each of those are going to matter. And one of them could win and just basically be like costing somebody else getting in. It's like, but of those 3, I don't really think it's Watto because of the fact that he has that title. It's like on the 27th, he's facing Kanemaru. And so I want to see between, I think Sho beat Yo in the other block. So if Kanemaru were to beat Watto, that would set them up for junior tag title contendership, which is just kind of a house of torture. It would not shock me. So I'm kind of like, I'm not sure that's the direction of Watto. And I'm not necessarily sure anyone who's winning the best of the Super Juniors is actually going to beat Desperado in that match at Dominion. So it's a matter of getting the rub of winning the tournament is who it's going to be. And for that, I don't think it's going to be Hiromu. So Kosei Fujita and Akira, which was the first night matchup. Like they got that one out of the way real early so that you forgot about it. And then, like Kosei Fujita beat Akira with the throw right in that match. So it would not shock me if Akira runs that back in the A1 block final as the number 2 and then beat Kosei Fujita, who's the number 1 guy, to go to the finals.
Well, remember on the last night in the block finals, it's Fujita versus Connors and Akira and Kushida. So they're not going to face each other again because there's
I'm saying Fujita and Akira in the post block play. Because there's 2 people that go in post block play.
There's no. It's only the winner of block A versus the winner of block B. There's no.
There's a night in between.
Where?
On the 29th is B block finals and A block finals.
Wait a minute. Let me look at this up. I'm not sure that's. I'm not. Let me look this up. Go ahead and keep going.
Sure. I've done my diligence. Good man.
Okay. You might be right.
I have done my diligence. Check the 29th. But yeah, so they run that back.
The only thing it has here, Jeremy, is B block matches.
So
on
what?
The 29th.
No, check. So
on the 27th. Hold on. The 27th. I'm on it. On Niigata, Shizuoka on May 27th. That is all A block matches. That's the only thing listed as happening. And that's the last night of block play in the A block after we go through the weekend. And so that's all the block matches in A block.
I thought that
and then the 27th, stay with me. And then on the 29th, Thursday, May 29th at Niigata, it is the last matches of the B block. That's and then
this is so weird. Okay.
And then on Sunday,
I hear you.
June 1st at Oda City Ward, it is winner of A block versus winner of B block. There's nothing about semifinals.
This is so weird. So when I looked up the schedule, like they posted the schedule, right? On April 30th. Oh, I read it wrong. Okay, no. The finale between the 2-point scorers from A, the finale between the top point scorers from A and B block will be held, where the top 2-point scorers in the league will do battle. I thought they were top 2-point scorers in each one.
I understand the confusion. We're not doing semifinals. We're getting one from A, one from B.
Who do you think then?
Well, I still think it's down to either Fujita or Akira.
Yes.
And the key is let's go to the B block, and so let's put the Fujita and Akira. Let's mention those names. Now let's look at B. B is in the exact same position where you've got one guy, Nick Wayne, on 8 points. He's the only guy at 4-2. There's one guy, Sho, at 2 and 4. He only has 4 points. So Sho's at the bottom. Wayne is on the top. Everybody else has 6. Again, looking at the tiebreakers, because you got to think the tiebreakers are going to play a big part of this. What I was looking at is Ishimori, who has never won the tournament, but has gone to the finals a couple of times. He has tiebreakers over Nick Wayne, Desperado, and Robbie Eagles. That's about as good a tiebreaker situation as you can be in right now. So if he ends up at the top of the heap or tied at the top of the heap, Ishimori has a lot of good tiebreakers. He has lost to Gucci, Titan, and Mao. Titan might be a problem because I can see Titan going to the finals potentially too because they love him. Taguchi, Ishimori, and Mao are his tiebreakers, but Titan has lost to Desperado, Kevin Knight, and Robbie Eagles. I also think Eagles has a shot here as well. This one's a little bit more wide open. The key is I don't think they'll do 2 foreigners in the finals. So if Robbie goes, I think it would be against Fujita, which I don't really see them doing right now. Because I don't think they would do Akira versus Eagles. And maybe I'm overthinking this, but and I know that.
No, I don't think they would either.
So if Fujita is coming out of A, then it's more wide open. And if Fujita comes out of A, I don't think they're ready to do Eagles, but Ishimori feels like a real possibility here. Titan feels like a real possibility here. And if Akira comes out, I feel if Akira comes out of it, I feel even better about Taiji Ishimori in the B block, if that makes any sense. So if it all shakes out in A block, where it's Francesco Akira coming out of A, I like Ishimori more because I think they would want a Japanese guy in there. If it's Fujita, then I feel like it's a little bit more wide open. But to me, the way things are setting up, the way the tiebreakers are setting up, it feels like Ishimori. And it might be time for Ishimori to win this thing finally after being in the finals a couple of times. He's always been great. And it sets up a match between Desperado and Ishimori, which is absolutely either a really good Dominion match or could absolutely main event another big show.
And they have already set it up that Ishimori beat Desperado in the tournament.
Which is kind of a vote against Ishimori because it means they can go to that match if they need to later. But they don't do that the same way they do the G1 stuff, just because G1 also has 5 months to kill between that and Wrestle Kingdom, or 3 months to kill between that and King of Pro Wrestling. But they could do it and say, well, Ishimori has his win over Death Space, so make it somebody else. Or, like I said, it could be a thing where Ishimori wins the tournament. So not only did I win this tournament, I beat you during it. I'm going to take that title off of you at Dominion or something else.
What about Teton?
Teton's a terrific possibility, and another guy who would have a great match with anybody.
Well, here's the thing. Akira, Fujita, and Ishimori, you've gone to the well with Desperado.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that you should run back Teton and Desperado. Quite, but it was a fantastic match. Yeah. And they left a lot on the table. There's an aspect of it to me that you could put it on Teton and then do the CMLL shows and the Forbidden Door and make the junior heavyweight title a little more internationally consequential. Because as much as like Desperado is known, like he's still not a huge star. When he comes to Forbidden Door, he's got a shrug in his shoulder. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
But again, Forbidden Door is only half canon anymore. Like every year we talk about how Forbidden Door doesn't really apply.
But if you're thinking about what they could do with CMLL, because there are CMLL shows that do Japan, and there are CMLL shows going, it's just a thought that maybe they're trying to, be a little more outworldly with this title, whereas the IWGP isn't. And that's the only reason why I was thinking Teton, because he's the CMLL guy. They might want to give him a little bit of a refresh because the LIJ thing is apparently dissolving.
Well, and that's my question is how much are we going to be seeing Teton going forward if LIJ is going away?
Well, I mean, he's now just associated with CMLL.
I know.
But that doesn't mean that he's done working for New Japan.
No, but it probably means he will be here less.
Maybe.
Yeah. And that's why I think Eagles is always a possibility because he's a great wrestler and it could be a great match.
But you don't need the guy to be here very much longer. If this is an angle thing, he also doesn't even need to win. This is basically just a match for Desperado on June 15th or whatever it is at Dominion. And it's he is one on the short list of hell yeah, this match would be awesome. I don't think Nick Wayne is going to go to the finals at this point if there aren't two people. No, I think Nick's about to have a rough week, but that's and that'll be fine. Nick's done a good job, but his job isn't to come here and win this thing. And Mao has done a pretty decent job. He had an interesting match with Taguchi, my God, but overall, I think you got Ishimori, Eagles, and Teton are all good choices to come out of this block. I don't think there's a wrong answer among any of them. I would like to see Ishimori finally win one of these things, and I'll watch Ishimori and Desperado all day, every day. But I also feel the same way about Eagles. Right. That Eagles winning one of these would be good, and he would have a great match with Desperado. So I don't think there's a wrong answer. Did Eagles already win one? I feel like he won one during COVID, in 2020 or 2021. I have to look that up. I'll look that up. I don't remember that, but maybe he did. He had a campaign around 2019 to 2022, somewhere in that window where he had his big wins. He came back. I think he might have been in Chaos. No, Ospreay won in 2019, and then it was Hiromu 3 years in a row. Okay. Master Wato in 23, Desperado in 24. He might have just had a big win somewhere, but I couldn't remember if he hasn't. No, Eagles is a guy, but I feel like it's time to just make people that are going to be in New Japan for a while. So the Fujita, the Akira, if Teton's going to be around, Teton. Ishimori, I'm not exactly sure that you need to run with Ishimori right now unless you need a guy that Doki's going to take down. Yeah, and I think Akira would be a terrific choice too if they want to pull the trigger on him. And he's got decent tiebreakers. So if they just wanted to have Fujita and trigger Fujita in winning, coming out of the A block and then beating whoever and having a great match. You got Teton, Eagles, and Ishimori. Any of those guys could have a good match with Fujita in the finals, and then have Fujita,
have a great match with Despe and lose, which would, that's possible. They have a lot of good options, is what I'm saying. And this tournament feels more wide open than it has in the past.
Yeah.
I think we had an idea in the last few years of 2 guys, maybe 3 that might win the thing. And this year I feel like there really are 5 or 6.
The parity is really fantastic. I mean, hell, Mao has been fantastic. And even he was able to have a match with Ryusuke Taguchi with the butt stuff that like had me laughing, It's just like every night of this tournament, there's been something that I'd be like, yeah, that was a good night. I think there were maybe there was one really good show on Saturday of last week or the week before. And then on Sunday was like, you guys pretty much spent all the money in the gas tank the night before kind of thing. And there was one of those shows and, like Court Connors, he was doing really great. And then he took a power bomb from the side of the ring onto a wheel and now he can't move. Like they showed
that bump was crazy.
Is destroying people left and right. But at the same time, you're seeing the best stuff from a lot of people.
You really are. And you are right about one thing, man. The kinesiology tape budget is going way up as this thing goes on. And that bump on the tire looked incredible. He bounced like 3 feet in the air after he landed on it. It's everything you would want visually, except if I kill the guy. So guys,
that's a one-time thing. Like you realize why that's a bad idea.
Yeah, well, let's not do that too much. A couple of comments here. Venkin says that Fujita might be the best option. He thinks
you might as well just do it. Just have Fujita win the whole thing.
Well, you know how New Japan is about taking their time with stuff. And Brad says I'm going with Yo versus Wato, junior tag champs against one another for the chance to go for the singles junior title, which is a story. That's an interesting story. So I love the fact that so many different options make sense and work. And a couple other things about this tournament. Really enjoying Dragon Dia. And I feel like this is a guy, he's Dragon Gate guy, but I could see him in New Japan, and he's the guest that's wrestling like he's in New Japan. You brought in Mao for a reason. You brought in Mao to bring a little bit of DDT to this, and he certainly has done that. He does the comedy. He's a good wrestler. Mao's a really good wrestler. And when he has done the comedy, I think he's done it well. It's not the kind of thing I want to see all the time, but I'll admit that I was kind of laughing during the Taguchi thing. And as crazy as that match was, if Taguchi and Mao didn't have a DDT match, then like, what are we doing here? Right. I almost would have been disappointed if it were just a regular wrestling.
It was exactly the match you'd hope that they'd have, and it was as entertaining as you thought it would be. I told you off air, it was like death matches. I don't like death matches, but I think when a death match is done really well, it can be really entertaining. I don't like these kind of like goofy, weird, like sexual innuendo matches, but that was fantastic. And Mao manages to, he's like Takeshita in a way where he can do the comedy stuff and he can do the serious stuff, and he's doing the comedy stuff so much that you don't realize that he's so good at the comedy stuff because he's a really good wrestler.
He is. And when he was doing that stuff with Taguchi, his body language and facial expressions to sell how uncomfortable he was with certain things and conflict. I mean, he's really good. He's really good at that.
The comedy of him zipping up his pants.
Yeah.
When Taguchi was at his waistline, is the best way I could put it. It was just like the physical comedy of doing that. A lot of people would really oversell it, but it was just very quiet, like.
Yeah. And Brad says, Jeremy knows my opinion on Mao. I need NJPW to poach him. That's a guy that could come back anytime he wants. I'll watch it. And I like Dia. I'm glad that Dia is getting some wins and respect. Of course, he was a very last second replacement last year. He wasn't supposed to be in the tournament, but Taguchi was in that bicycle accident and got hurt. And luckily, we do have Taguchi back and healthy. And I think Taguchi's, that match with Mao is exactly what you figured it would be. But other than that, he's been wrestling pretty well in this tournament. And we've seen Dia is another guy that I just think, boy, this is some fresh blood. And if we're not going to have
that reptilian rider finish is great.
Oh yeah, it's fabulous. And if we're going to have less Teton because there isn't an LIJ to bring him in for, and so he becomes kind of more of a once in a while and a Fantasticomania guy. And keep in mind, CMLL doesn't mind the idea of having more Teton. He's a big star with them. You might. I'm just saying that if there is a spot on the roster, maybe more often or more tours, wouldn't mind if Dia came over.
So I think you're right. I think Dia came over. I think Mao. I think there's a lot of young talent in this tournament that it's been a good spread of veteran talent, the talent on the rise, and then like the exceedingly young talent. I'm looking at this A block, and we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, but just a couple of random things that when I see this list of people. Kushida and Fujita had a fantastic grapple match in which they both went barefoot in their match together, and that's worth checking out.
Yeah, that was very good.
Ninja Mac has been doing his ninja special, which is the handspring backflips, and it's actually played a part in the match that's basically been costing him because his eye for getting fame is basically had people like Hiromu Takahashi just beating the crap out of him when he should be focusing on the match, and he's not. Hiromu, I feel like he's doing great work, but he's also just another day in the office almost when he's showing up for these matches. Like, it's not particularly like the greatest wrestling he's ever done, but he's so good that like he can just punch in and punch out, and his matches still rule.
There have been a couple of things. In his hometown of Hachioji, he turned it on a little bit for the hometown fans. I was sad. You can only do the big homecoming thing so many times before it wears out, and unfortunately, that's the only show that's been down from the year before. Is the Hachioji one in his home. They drew 1,600 last time, and this time it was 1,200. Every other show has been either even with what it did last year. Most of them have been up around 10%-ish. So it's
how did he used to be?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Like he's Hiromu, and he's solid, but he was red hot at some points, and he's just not red hot right now.
Robbie X doing terrific work.
Absolutely, he took a nice little bump that second night against Ninja Mac, the first guy with athletic tape covering up his body, but his X Express, that corkscrew senton whatever thing he does at the end, that thing looks great.
Yeah. And Brad mentions, just noticed Clark Connors has to wrestle back-to-back on the 24th and 25th. Yeah, everybody's going to go back. They
gave him the night off yesterday or whatever.
His back is going to have trouble holding up. Hopefully he can do it. Yeah, but that's the Saturday and Sunday is going to be a tough day for everybody to go through that. And Venkin asks, has there been much poaching recently? We've heard the word poach a couple of times here. No, that doesn't happen a whole lot in Japan. Most people will run their full contracts out and become free agents, sign with somebody else, or do the more subtle version of it that we're seeing with Takeshita, where I'll work over here for a couple of years before I go to the company I actually want to go to. So you'll see that a little bit more than anything else. But because they didn't really poach Jake Lee from Noah. Jake decided to go, and Noah they just didn't re-sign. So
right. Bye.
Yeah, not a ton of poaching. Not a ton of poaching.
B-block hot take. Let's see.
Mayu. Well, Mayu knew she wanted to leave and waited until her contract was out to do so. There was, poaching. I guess it kind of depends on how you want to define poaching.
I'm going to start at the bottom here. I think Mao, we've talked about him a little bit, but his matches have been really fantastic, and I think he has a lot to offer any promotion that he decides that he wants to work for moving forward. Nick Wayne has also been a revelation in this tournament. I feel like he has come out of his shell in a way that he has not been afforded in AEW, and also the night that he did commentary with Walker Stewart, he was really impressive and had a lot of poise for his age. Apparently, he and Walker are probably the youngest commentary team in the history of New Japan.
Yeah, I'll bet that's
at
true.
43 years of age combined or something like that.
Yeah, probably one of the youngest in the history of wrestling there.
Absolutely. Sho and Yo have done their parts in this tournament, their roles as they will. I'm not into the Yo experience as it is, where he's like going to the back and chasing people down and then getting his butt kicked for the SA of it all. And it's
Yo
weird,
to me is bringing DDT to New Japan, only he's not doing it.
He's not as entertaining as Mao at it.
Yeah, it's this version of Yo has not done it for me either.
It's not connecting with me, but I know that people are really into this like Watto and Yo tag team. And hey, like there are things that it is what it is, and I'm fine with it. So yeah, it's fine. Robbie Eagles, he's the dark horse, like of all the people that could quietly just slip in on the in the B block to be the finalist. He's definitely on there. I think his matches in which I think he had one with Teton today that was it felt like the tournament got serious. Like these people were fighting for their spot when they had the match today. And, he was pretty upset when he lost to Nick Wayne. And I just think Robbie Eagles has had a really, really solid tournament.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Robbie a lot. We've talked about Teton. He's had really good matches as well. He really does blend lucha into strong style better than most I can remember seeing come from Mexico. And he's really figured out when to lay off of the lucha and hit the strong style stuff, but how to incorporate it. I'm just impressed with the guy. He's melded the styles nicely. He's a talented guy.
Like being out of LIJ could possibly be the best thing that happened to him. It's like now he can be his own guy instead of being second to Hiromu.
Yeah. And Kevin Knight. Kevin, the supremely talented dude.
Kind of a disappointing tournament.
One of the issues with being part-time in two places is that neither one of them wants to get behind you. And so he at the beginning of this tournament, he was working for AEW and New Japan and in the process of being jobbed out by both at the same time, because God knows AEW has just been having him lay down for everybody in the world. So because God forbid we make anyone look special. And then in
he's
New
in the
Japan,
seasoning period of his career, apparently.
Whatever. No. Okay. The Knight is, like I said, supremely talented guy, but got off to a slow start in the tournament. I think he's going to be threatening these tiebreaker situations. So I do think they're going to end up making him look good there. But off to it. You almost forgot about it. Not forgot about him, but you almost didn't talk about him a whole lot because he was down 1-3 early, and now he's starting to rally.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed with the Kevin Knight experience. I kind of expected him to be. I don't want to say that he was going to get the push that Nick Wayne got, but coming into it, I kind of thought those roles would be a little bit reversed, where like Kevin Knight's been around a little while. He's coming in, he's really like, this is his year kind of thing, and it just doesn't kind of work out. But this just kind of feels like he's a guy in the tournament. He's not really anything other than a supporting character. And maybe his moments are going to come up. And I think he's had one or two matches, but even those matches, like, they fall to the wayside to some of the other matches that happened tonight. He just hasn't had that like wow standout moments. I haven't like been wowed by the drop kicks or like these feats of athleticism. He just kind of seems like a guy. I remember like early in the tournament, he lost with a super kick to Mao. Like Mao didn't even give him his finish. He just lost by a random super kick, and I was like, what? Yeah,
that was a strange one, wasn't it? And it doesn't make sense that it was a time thing, but it almost looked like that. Like when you're on a show and there's like, take it home. But
he got a palm strike. What? His finish was a palm strike, and he hit him with a super kick.
It was
and
weird.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
No, I did a double take on it as well. I was like, I wonder what that was about.
Yeah. Ryusuke Taguchi. He's a comedy wrestler, but for whatever reason, when they gave him that main event in the early thing and they gave him the credibility of a win against Ishimori and something like that 18-minute match, like all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe we can take Ishimori a little more seriously. And then halfway through the tournament, we are back to his pants being down around his ankles. And granted, the match before this one, they did a great job with the camera work, where you couldn't see Taguchi's ass if you tried, because the way that they had the camera being obscured by the ring ropes,
they're
the
geniuses.
Entirety of it was really impressive. And then on this show, they had a camera person directly in line of sight of the hard cam when it was going on.
Yeah,
it can get long in the tooth. it can get really annoying, but they've managed to mitigate and minimize and use it in the right spots. Yeah. And the Mal match today, I was genuinely amused.
New Japan's Japanese production, the core New Japan production is underrated. They will capture emotion so well. And we talked about it here when Goto won the title, how they had the winning moment framed. And there was the other one in Hiroshima when Naito was crying in the ring because he realized it was his last NJPW match in his adopted hometown of Hiroshima. And then in the background, they get Taichi with his head in his hands, upset that he had to be the one to do it. They're so good with that and capturing those moments. Their shots are layered, and it's really cool if you watch what the New Japan production does. And then they can go the other direction and do something silly, and it works out like they've done with Taguchi. And then Brad said, Tony said on the Double or Nothing call today that if he knew that Kevin Knight was going to get over so much and be so important to them, he might not have had him go to the Best of the Super Junior. Tony says a lot of words, but none of them are backed. Almost none of that is backed up with action. Shut up, Tony. Just try booking a TV show. Shut up.
It's a very political thing to say.
Yeah. Shut up,
Goof. The issue I have with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The issue that I have with this, and this is just me parsing this, that says to me that Tony didn't think that Kevin Knight was going to get over.
Yeah, what did he think? I thought I got a job.
Backhanded compliment. Not only did Tony not feel like his booking was going to get Kevin Knight over, he didn't feel like Kevin Knight was going to get Kevin Knight over.
Yeah, I know.
And in order to make sure that Kevin Knight had time to get over, he was going to send him to the Best of the Super Juniors while he worked through the current storylines. So as much of a compliment as that is to Kevin Knight and his ability to get over, I would have rethought the framing of how Tony Khan said that, because not only is it complimentary of Kevin Knight, it also buries him.
Yeah, it's like, gee, I didn't think he was going to get over. I didn't think he'd be important. I thought I got a jobber. Tony, stop talking stop talking. Book a show. Stop talking.
I want nothing but Kevin Knight to get the bag and to be a success and to be a main eventer. It's not going to happen by July of this year. Him going to the Best of the Super Juniors is fine. It's okay. He's probably going to get a lot out of this that we are not immediately going to, see and parse and transcribe. But down the line, this is a good thing. And that's all he had to say.
Okay. And hopefully, okay. And one thing, hopefully, is your internet back up? Because you were starting to break up there a little bit. Are you all right? Let's see if we can hear you a little bit because you're freezing up a little.
Good? No?
Okay.
Yeah.
You're on a bit of a delay. We'll make it work. Let's get a couple of comments in, see if that'll catch up there. But Venkin mentions that Japan is better at capturing moments. I think that's true. And Brad mentions NJPW production blows away everyone else, including the super bright and antiseptic WWE overproduction. I think Lee Fitting has made a lot of improvements in WWE with some of the drone shots and the Steadicam stuff. I think they make the show look great, and they make a lot of people there. But yeah, it can feel too stylistic sometimes, and now he's got it. He's weighed down by the fact that he has to weave live ads into ring entrances, which that is gonna. There are signs that things are blooms are coming off the rose in WWE, and some of it is the over monetization of it, to where they have to pan away. He's finding cool ways to do it, but panning the drone away from a ring entrance to show a mascot dancing for the person that sponsors the match.
There's a lot of things that have started to run their course in WWE, and you're starting to see some things just kind of go in the direction.
He said, and as Meltzer has said, New Japan cameras find the action. American wrestling has the action find the cameras. It's an interesting thing, and it's a change. Kevin Dunn brought a lot of that because of his laziness, but there was a story that Chris Jericho told years ago now on his old podcast. He might still be doing it. I don't know. Anyway, not the point, but he said that a camera person went to him and said, if you put that lion tamer on the same way like you did tonight, I will find you. Like, it just came up to him. He said, don't worry about it. I will find you. And Steve Austin talks a little bit about that, where he knew that the camera would get where it needed to be. And then somewhere over the years, that switched to where I'm not going to have my guys find anything. You guys have to artificially aim everything at the hard camera. And that's one thing about WWE that drives me nuts, where they will put themselves in unnatural positions to cover. And you know when's the finish, because they all frame it perfectly for the hard camera instead of letting the camera find it. It wasn't always the case in WWE. You had guys coming up to him and say, if you do that move like that, I'll find you. I'll get the shot. I know like the camera guy was excited. He said, I know how to frame that. I know how to, it'll look great. But it wasn't do it to find me. He just said, just make sure if you give that signal and put it on like that, I'll get the shot. Something twisted over the years that's made the production a little lazier. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, with Kevin Dunn being gone, there's a lot of reasons things are better with Kevin Dunn being gone. But it's a little bit more dynamic, I think, the look of WWE. But right now we're getting the overproduction is not a bad way to put it, just because they have to weave so much crap in between matches and things. It's tough. Totally.
There's one more guy I want to talk about in the Best of Super Juniors now that my internet is feeling like it's okay. And
our champion,
El Desperado. And you know what, dude? You know what I got to say about this guy?
Yeah.
MVP of the entire tournament.
He doesn't really have a bad match, and
just banger after banger. Like, everything's different, and like you feel like everything stops, and it's El Desperado time when it's an El Desperado match right now.
Yeah, and he's great, and he has achieved a level of comfort with the company that not even Hiromu had, where they feel comfortable with him main eventing shows regularly. Hiromu did sometimes as the champion, but if you go back and look at Hiromu's title reigns, a lot of his big matches were second and underneath a world title match or something like that. They feel comfortable letting a world title match be on Sunday and Desperado headline something on Thursday or Friday. And that's a compliment to Despe. I know a lot of people would like
versatility, man.
Yeah, and he's over, and he's gotten over with the crowd. He has all the stuff he's done, and the good matches he's had, and the charisma he has with the crowd has created a connection that's rare among these junior heavyweight champions.
That match he had with Nick Wayne, where he made Nick Wayne look like a main event act, was unbelievable. Nick Wayne is very good. Don't get me wrong, but Desperado made him look 10 times better than he already is. Mm-hmm. You know, like that match that he had with Show, where he pulled the Eddie Guerrero, where he threw off his mask and he threw it at Show and did the whole gimmick with that. Yeah. Like, everything, it's just so creative, and he's just such a breath of fresh air with his matches. And I guess he's got another death match with Jun Kasai coming up at the end of June.
Because he didn't bleed out last time, so we have to try again.
I don't want to watch it, but I think I'm here for it. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to miss a Desperado match in Japan.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's what he's like right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's a superstar or anything like that, but I cannot not. Like, he's just a guy I want to make sure I don't miss anything. And I don't feel that way about Fujita. I don't feel that way about Akira. I don't feel about any other wrestler on the New Japan roster right now. Like, Desperado is like, holy crap. Like, every time I see him, he's just like, I know I'm not going to be disappointed.
And Benken's asking, are we going to get a Desperado death match? I don't think that's going to be on a New Japan show. Is it? No.
I don't know.
I think that would be on one of June's shows.
I could try and look, but yeah.
I don't think New Japan's going to do another Jun Kasai death match in a New Japan ring. Or at least you couldn't do it. It would have to be the main event of some special card at Korakuen, because you couldn't use the ring after that for anything else. I mean, you just couldn't. You'd have to replace the whole thing. They're going to either blow it up or cover it in glass and blood and everything else. So it's not something that they could really do and then have a global title match on after it. So I would imagine it would be its own little contained thing elsewhere.
I haven't seen it yet, but
I don't think it's scheduled yet, is it? It just said he would defend the title against. If he wrestled him again, it would be for the title.
No, Fightful has him for a tag team match at Dragon Gate June 5th. And then it says at the top of it, he's also being billed for his final singles match against Jun Kasai later that month.
Yeah, so, I don't think they've nailed that down yet, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be
on their socials. New Japan promoted the last singles match between Desperado and Jun Kasai for June 24th at Korakuen Hall.
Oh, it is going to be a New Japan show,
huh? Yeah.
Well, it's going to be the main event of it. It'll be the main event because you can't do anything after it.
Let's see here. I'm getting the translation right now.
Okay. Yeah, and they've done stuff like that. You know, Desperado's done his own pay-per-view. Maybe it's something similar to that. They've been doing a lot of those. You notice we had Taka Taichi Mania. The Tanahashi Jam is coming up. So a lot of these specific to a one wrestler promoted show where the wrestler puts together. Hiromu had one. I'm trying to think of some others that have been over the years, but Taka Taichi Mania has been a regular. Desperado's show has been a regular thing, and it's become hotly anticipated because they do get very creative with it. Last year's was terrific. So maybe it's something like that. His own little corner of New Japan.
The last singles match, literally called the last singles match at Korakuen Hall, IWGP Junior Champion. Yep, this is all New Japan. It'll
probably be like that Desperado show that he booked. It'll probably be similar to that.
The tournament is the name of the event is undecided, but they are calling the main event the last singles match between the two.
There you go. And yeah, Venkin says if you get a bunch of glass and stuff, yeah, that's the last match. Just blood is doable. Yeah, and they've had Jun Kasai on New Japan matches before. I remember I was sitting there incredulous that it was actually happening. But they have done it. It'll just be its own little separately contained thing. So it'll probably be a one-up.
I can wait, but I can't wait.
All right. So again, let's go over the schedule very quickly. Yeah, because we are running out of time. We're going to go over the schedule for this week. So again, we have Saturday. They're in Hyogo, and that is 10 matches. So both blocks in action. Desperado versus Taguchi is the main event listed right now, along with Kushida versus Master Wato in the semifinal, and an interesting match on that card, Kevin Knight against Taiji Ishimori. I'm just looking forward to that one.
Ooh, wow.
Sunday, May 25th, they're in Nagoya. Another 10-match show, so that's going to be both blocks. Wato versus Hiromu. Desperado versus Kevin Knight. That'll be nice. And Francesco Akira versus Clark Connors.
So, I like Mal versus Nick Wayne that night.
Yeah, that'll be another. It's a good lineups all the way around. Then Monday is off. Tuesday, May 27th in Shizuoka, just down the coast a little bit from Tokyo. There I went. The A block finals: Mac versus Dragon Dia and Ninja Mac. Fujita versus Connors. Hiromu versus Robbie X. Kushida versus Akira, and Wato versus Kanemaru. We don't know what the main event is for that show because kayfabe reasons they're saying we don't. It'll be whatever's the most important for the standings. So They're not announcing a main event. Same thing for Thursday, May 29th in Niigata for the B block. And that'll be Taguchi versus Knight, Desperado and Eagles, Yo versus Ishimori, Titan versus Nick Wayne. Yes, please. And Mao versus Sho. Now, that could be a sleeper whack job of a match. Mao versus Sho, by the way.
Could be.
The finals, like we mentioned. Now, we'll be back next Thursday to wrap all that up. The finals, A block winner, B block winner, will be Sunday, June 1st at the Oda Ward Gymnasium. That's the only match announced so far. Again, kayfabe reasons, the rest of the card will be filled out once we know who's not in the finals. So there you go. That's what we have.
All academic at this point, my friend. All the math.
Yeah, there you go. And I just want to say I'm grateful to be back with everybody. And it was so fun to have Brad, Venkin, Colin, Fernando, Maria was here for a little while, and a USVA guy. I'm just happy to be back. 2 weeks away is too many. Jeremy, you did an amazing job. Thanks for holding the fort down, bud.
I had a great time with Scott E Wrestling, and then I had a great time doing it by myself. But I'm really glad to have you back. It's fun to do the show with you, and it's better with you than without you.
Ah, thanks. Oh, shucks.
Glad you're here, but let's go home.
For those of you listening to us as a podcast, for those of you who watch us live on YouTube, thank you for your time. We are grateful that you decided to spend some of it with us. Don't forget Power Bombshells Beyond Sunday. Dynamite Show, all that stuff, Fight Game Media Network. Check it all out. And with that, we will be back next week to wrap up block play in the Super Juniors. So for Jeremy Feinstein, I'm Stephen Conway. This has been Speaking of Strong Style. We'll talk to you again real soon.